All right, let's get back to the news of the day now. Joining me is the Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace. Andrew, good to catch up with you as always. Thanks very much for joining me. Look, I've got to say that the coalition got minced today by Labor. I mean, surely it must be embarrassing sitting in question time with a divided coalition and a Labor government freely taking pot shots because the heat's not on them right now.
Well, Danica, I think what Australians are seeing is a government that is absolutely full of hubris. I think Australians can see that the government is not focused on them. And at the end of the day, what we're seeing is, like in the last 12 months, we've had 15,000, a record number of businesses, 15,000 businesses go into insolvency. Australians are doing it tough, like I don't think we've seen since the mid-1980s, back when I was an apprentice carpenter. People are really doing it tough. We've seen the 13th interest rate rise under this government, the 13th one. And inflation is out of control because this government continues to spend, and that's making it more expensive for Australians. So I think what Australians would like to see is their government actually getting on with the job, but at the moment it's a government that is absolutely full of hubris.
Look, I don't doubt that. I totally agree with you that the government is full of hubris, but on the other side right now, it's not looking too good. I mean, let's be realistic, Andrew. When you've got a divided coalition, there's no unity in the party. There's been leadership rumblings now for weeks. The polling is not very good. The Liberals are bleeding votes to One Nation. And you're sitting on the other side, not being able to ask a lot of questions right now. I mean, what do you say to Conservative voters? What would be your message? Because there's a lot of unhappy voters out there right now.
There are a lot of unhappy voters, and I believe me, I get the emails, I get the phone calls, I know they're unhappy. And I believe that they're unhappy because they are so angry at Anthony Albanese, and they want an effective, unified opposition. They want an opposition that is holding this government to account. And look, at the end of the day, Danica, this is not a criticism of you, but the more we talk about this instability on the media, the more it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I believe that Susan has the absolute support of the party room. There's been no spill. No one is out there doing the numbers that I've been contacted on. So we all just need to get in, lock in behind Susan, who's doing a good job, a very good job under very difficult circumstances. The really sad part of all of this, particularly with the split, is that Anthony Albanese was on the ropes over Christmas time. We had the terrible situation where under this government's watch we had the worst terrorist attack on Australian soil. He absolutely fumbled and stuffed the aftermath of that up, refused to call a Royal Commission. Susan Lee was doing a terrific job in holding him to account, and then for reasons which you're probably best to ask the Nationals, they walked away. Well,
look, I mean, Anthony Albanese did have a really bad summer, and I will say that Susan Lee was on the front foot. I mean, she dragged him kicking and screaming to get that Royal Commission, and she did. But now we've got a very different situation. What a difference a couple of weeks has made, and I appreciate that we keep talking about it, but the problem is, Andrew, this is front and centre right now, and it seems as though the Liberals and Nationals are at a stalemate in their negotiations. How likely is it, do you think, that this romance can be rekindled, so to speak?
I think you used the term earlier in your show about a divorce. Well, it's not a divorce. It's a separation, no doubt. Well,
it's getting messy, though. It looks divorce-esque.
These things are always messy, Danica. And I firmly believe, absolutely firmly believe, that we're better and stronger together. We've got much better prospects of holding this government to account if we remain or if we reform the coalition. That is a very, very important part of the work that we have to do in this place. I know that there's some rumblings amongst some people, on both sides that, they think that they might be able to do this without the other. That is farcical. There's just no way that either party is ever going to be able to form government on its own. I think it's happened once in Australian political history a number of decades ago. We live in a very, very different world today. If you look around the world, you know, coalitions are very common. So we need to get the relationship back on track. There's got to be give and take. You know, I know that John Howard's had some things to say this evening about this, and at the end of the day, the coalition, I'm a coalitionist, we've got to get this show back on track, and if that means both sides have got to eat some humble pie, so be it, because at the end of the day, Australians want a strong opposition to hold what I believe, and many Australians believe, is a hopeless government, and they are hurting, and when they see how much they are hurting, we're having to work 2, 3 jobs just to pay the bills. And when they see what's happening in Canberra, they are going to be angry. And to be quite honest with you, it's hard to blame them.
Well, that's why we do need a reunified coalition. But you know, right now it's a real mess. Let's be honest. I want to talk to you about Labor's economic management. Of course, inflation has gone up, rates have now gone up, but Labor was again ducking and weaving today. Have a listen to this.
The RBA governor said yesterday, when she was asked very directly about government spending, she said, what's happened in the last 6 months or so, private demand has turned out to be much stronger than we have been forecasting. That's what the RBA governor had to say.
The bigger deficits that they've taken to the last election for this year and next year would make the inflation challenge in our economy worse, not better, by his own logic.
Andrew, Labor is still trying to blame the coalition again.
Yeah, look, what both the Prime Minister and the Treasurer failed to actually inform the House, they're giving half-truths, because at the press conference, Michelle Bullock expressly said part of the reason why inflation is out of control, it's now at 3.8%, is because of public and private spending. She said both. That's the reality. This government is adding $50 billion over the last 12 months to its spend. We're now spending $50,000 a minute on interest payments as a nation. $50,000 a minute. You think about what that money could be spent on: hospitals, nurses, doctors, ambulances. You know, this country is getting into a real debt problem. We're fast approaching $1 trillion, and the government under Jim Chalmers has absolutely no guardrails about how money should or shouldn't be spent under this government. I watched Shari earlier tonight with the economist that was on there earlier, and he had some pretty uncomplimentary things to say, and he used to be a Deputy Secretary of Treasury. Yeah. He had some very uncomplimentary things to say about Jim Chalmers.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many more economists do we need to tell Labor the same thing? Even the RBA, as you said, that spending is out of control. You know, do we need to print it in a big banner for them to actually listen? We're almost out of time, but I just want to ask you about this. Richard Marles today announced a dramatic sell-off of defence properties. He says it's in a bid to raise money for new military resources. Now, Defence says that these sites are underused, costly to maintain, and divesting them will save money and make the defence estate fit for purpose going forward. But, Andrew, this isn't the case, is it? Because this isn't just about spare land. These sites play a role in the day-to-day life of ADF personnel.
Yeah. Danica, we are living in the most challenging geostrategic times since 1945. We need to ensure that our sailors, our aviators and our army personnel have the best equipment that they possibly can, that we're attracting people from as many people as we can from the bush and in the cities. And we need to ensure that we are recruiting the right people and training them the right way. All of these defence estate, I used to be on the Defence Committee, I also used to be on the Public Works Committee, so I've been out to many of these bases, and this smacks to me of selling off the family farm. And once you sell the family farm, I know from personal experience, you never get it back. And that's a sad thing. These defence estate assets are very, very important. And look, we'll assess each asset on its own merits. But what we have to ensure is that they do not impact upon the critical ability of the warfighting capabilities of our ADF personnel.
No.
And we will look at each one of these proposed asset sales. But once you sell off the family farm, you never get it back, Danica.
No, it's dangerous. As you said, we live in very precarious times. It's just extraordinary. Andrew Wallace, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you as always. Thanks very much for your time.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.